The dentist.
See, I just need to go to the dentist. Fantastic.
You go to the dentist, they give you free toothbrush, free dental floss. Some of them even give you the mini toothpaste.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I looked at dentures online and I did the cost benefit analysis. I'm
Future dental student.
Yeah.
I'm cheaper than buying toothbrush.
That's right. That's right. Over time.
All right, other questions?
In regards to finding roommates, if you're going to move into an apartment and you're not quite sure who's in the area that you already know, maybe there's nobody in the area that you're moving in, how do you find somebody who is responsible, who is not a creeper?
That's good criteria.
Not a room with you.
No, that's fantastic. A lot of mine have been people that I've known, and those have actually, ironically, been typically the worst. Friends don't always make the best roommates. Roommates don't always make the best friends. I actually found a roommate. This is super creepy. I found a roommate on Craigslist.
Oh my gosh, I was about to say
I
that's
know,
a bad.
it's
I was about to say
scary.
that's a bad idea.
I know, it's a honestly, it's a horrible idea. Ben's leaving. He's like, I'm never gonna use John again. And so, like, this is a true story. We put an ad on Craigslist, and you cannot say like, hey, I'm a Christian looking for another Christian roommate. But we all know the key words, okay? Like, we all know what those words are. Like, hey, really enjoy like serving and like community and times of worship. I mean, those are like keywords you just drop in. Like, oh, that's a Christian term. All right, we got that. And so you have to sift through the creepos. Okay, we have plenty of those. We have plenty of people from other countries trying to scam you and that kind of thing. But met my current roommate, one of them, his name's Tim. All right? I hung out with Tim for about 2.5 months. And I made the decision after hanging out with him as friends for 2.5 months before I agreed to that. And I honestly wanted to wait longer. I was like, but here's the thing. He also came and he goes, here's letters of recommendations. Here's all my employers. You can call them. I mean, he was like super legit. And then I found out, like, because he's a believer too. He went to seminary because he was picking up on the keywords, all right? And I was like, this is great, this is cool. And honestly, he's a cook, so that was a selling point. He has a Wii and a PS3, that's a selling point. But, like, that's how I found it. But the funny part is, Lo, who's like, oh my gosh, over here, like, I can't believe I know John. Lo's older sister, Lise, is one of my best friends. She was my closest friend in college. She also found her roommate in New York City on Craigslist, and she was totally normal. Now, granted, that's like a huge risk factor because you've got Craigslist killers out there. But I'm just saying, if you want to roll the dice, no, I'm just kidding. Craigslist, maybe not, but I call churches. In the past, I call churches because people will normally end up sharing things like that, like, hey, I just moved here, or I'm looking for someplace. Really Pastors can be a really good resource just for that, because naturally, if I'm new to the area, I'm a Christian, or someone needs it, well, yeah, like, that's great to connect to people I have fellowship with. So I honestly would just email churches in the past, and I had like a 10% chance of getting something back because they have a million things that they are doing, but if they saw it, like, great, hey, this is a need, there's an opportunity, better than Craigslist.
That also kind of leads into the second question I had. Finding churches in an area, what's the best way to go about finding a church in an area that you aren't currently in? Like looking them up online, because not all of them have a little icon when you Google an area on Google Maps.
Yeah, websites. I mean, it's churches in and name the city, and they may not have an icon, but the websites will come up, or because in my view, if they don't have a great website, you don't want to go there. But I don't know. The other way to go is after you arrive, is to ask around. I mean, see what people say, and that's pretty basic stuff. I mean,
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, what do you think, Ryan? What do you guys think? I mean, as far as looking for churches, I mean, I talk to people all the time that say, yeah, we found you on the internet. And we listened to some messages, and we still came,
Right.
Oh,
shoot.
I mean,
Which week was that?
obviously, if you've got a particular denomination you've grown up with, I mean, you certainly could probably find resources on the internet where they can point you to the local churches in that community of that particular denomination. I'm trying to think if there's a real go-to WillowCreek.com is one of the best that I know of, just in that there's a number of churches across the country of all different denominations that are a part of the Willow Creek Association and sharing resources together. And so as far as a database of, hey, here are the churches in the area for this particular zip code, I'm not saying they're going to be good or that you'd even enjoy them or even that they're all perfect, because obviously, well, none are, but at least it would give you a list of websites. So WillowCreek.com is the name of that website, and they list a number of churches all across the world, actually. So
I would say, I think, well, I would encourage a couple things. The website thing's cool, but I think asking on Facebook, just saying, hey, does anybody, know of a church or something like that, the friends you're meeting, if you're relocating. But I think one of the things that's natural to do is to just look around, and there's usually in an area 4 or 5 really big churches.
yeah.
And you just go and you show up at those places, and it's really easy then just to blend in and never connect. And if you go to those places, that's fine, that's cool. We have a huge church near us, and we suggest people that don't fit our mold, hey, go hang out with them, but go and get involved, and don't just sit back, but find, like, how do I connect with people my age? How do I get in a small group? Where do I connect? What do I do? And then if you don't connect there, try other places, but have that idea that you're going to make yourself available to meet people. We've met so many people for us that have said, yeah, I went to this church, and it was the big church. I went there for like a year. I never connected. I was miserable. I didn't learn anything. And then they said, I was just looking for some community. And they started to find out. Does that make sense to you? I mean, to me, that's it's being intentional. And then I think a great comment Steve said was, every church has things that are wrong with them. One of the things we talk about is, people describe church as hypocritical, too political, judgmental. Obviously, we want to change that. Churches who are trying to change that and see the world in a different way, sometimes the reality is, though, that you're still going to find pockets of that because there's people in churches that's their reality. But if you're not creating a place, if you're not making that, what good is that? So you want to be a part of a community where you're creating something. So
Use your alumni network, too. They'll help you find a church.
I want to come back to the panel. What have we not asked you that you wish you had done when you sat here? Maybe you had to learn the hard way.
I'll just say one, because that way I can check off that I said my 3 things that I normally always say. Because it is the biggest thing. Like, when I was a senior, I feel like, just given my example that I was a theater major coming in, and then went into marketing, and then went into grad school, like, that doesn't really make a ton of sense. Like, I've always had a lot of interest, but never been able to discern where those come together. So in my life, I have 3 very compartmentalized areas of interest. I'm very outdoorsy, and I do a lot of things outdoors. I do talent work, and then I am in a suit or dressed up for consulting work. Very different. So I remember I spoke on a panel here at AU, and everyone on this panel was like, I knew I wanted to be a doctor when I was a kid, and that's what I'm doing. And then we went on down the line. Everyone knew what they were doing, and they were doing it. And then it got to me, I'm like, well, I really don't know what I wanted to do, and I don't really know. So what I would end up saying, though, is my advice is, if you're in that season where you really aren't sure what the next step is, live in a season of preparation. Because what I was just so not wanting to happen is, if God did call me to something that was going to be something like ministry, where it's like, hey, that's not going to be something where you're going to have a lot of income most likely in, I would hate to be in a situation where I threw away 2 or 3 years, throwing away money, throwing away all these different things, and then God's like, hey, I really need you to do this. I want you to do this. And here I am wasting that time, like, oh my gosh, like, I still have that $42,000 of debt that I walked out of that could be gone. And now I feel like I'm going to use that maybe as an excuse to not do what God wants me to do, or it's something that prohibits it. So in doing so, I want to set myself up to have those options, where if God does say, hey, I want you to go do this, that I am doing the best that I can in the season of unknown, to prepare myself for the season of when I do realize what that next piece is. So my advice is, if you don't know what you want to do, it's okay. Just prepare and discern and actually make good use of that time. Got really quiet. I'm sorry. That was like super serious lay down smack.
be excited. You're gonna get out of here and you're gonna be prepared. You are never gonna know all that you need to know to do tomorrow's tasks. No matter how long you've done whatever job you end up doing, tomorrow's gonna surprise you. So, especially when you first get out, just know that you're prepared. This is a great place. You're never gonna know everything, so kind of the fake it till you make it thought process, but be confident. Any job you do, you're going to be able to accomplish. So be encouraged and be confident that you're going to be all right. And whatever the first job is, maybe you'll retire from it. That still happens. It doesn't happen as much as it used to. But you don't have to switch careers 15 times, but the average is that it's going to happen. So just enjoy whatever job you're placed in and be encouraged. You really are going to do just fine at it. I did not know how to do my job when I was hired. I've been doing it 6.5 years, and I still don't know how to accomplish what I'm supposed to do tomorrow. But I'm going to get up and go give it a try until they tell me to do something else.
You just said something that I forgot having that feeling, but I remember thinking, I was an accounting major as an undergrad, and I thought, somebody's going to hire me and expect me to know everything, step in and just do it. And I'm going to embarrass myself, and I'm going to fail, and it's going to be awful. I remember having that thought, and you're exactly right. You're never going to know it all. But this is a pretty good place in preparing people to make those first steps, and you can be confident. You're going to do fine.
This sounds counterintuitive what we've been talking about, but I think there's that time period where have some experiences. Like you're not going to get that opportunity again, where the reality is that eventually you're going to meet that special lady, and you're going to but you have all these experiences.
Taylor.
And I mean, but there is that reality though that there is that time that you marry, there is that time kids come, and when those things happen, you do have to make decisions based on that reality of where you live and the things you do and what you spend your money on. But you've got an opportunity to go and actually have experiences, and then I would say it's cliche within that though, go make a difference. Like that's the one thing I love about coming back here is that there's this reality, you can change the world, you can make a huge difference. And a lot of us think that we're just going to get a job, we're just going to get paid, we're just going to have life. But you have the opportunity to have such a huge impact at this point in your life. Go and do it. Don't screw that up and miss out on it. So.
I just, add that choose full-time ministry. I mean, I think, but I mean as not as a pastor necessarily, but in whatever you've been preparing to do and whatever God calls you to do next. I mean, there's no greater decision that you can make in your life than have Jesus Christ as the Lord of your life, and then to make a commitment that no matter what He's called you to do, that you're going to serve. I mean, the world's a mess. I mean, it really is. But to serve Christ and to be light in really dark places, in an apartment building, in the house that you choose on whatever street, like our God is sovereign enough, and He's great enough, and He's got a plan in mind for you and people that He's going to put in your path, and you can make such a difference in the world, and like nothing will ever top that.
That is an absolutely wonderful note to end on. I think these folks might be willing to stick around for a minute or two if you were shy and would rather just ask them one-on-one something. But why don't you help me thank them for giving us their ear. Reminders or any announcements before we walk out of here?
You must preach.
You too.
Third, sorry, I was just making sure you guys paying attention. We do still have lots and lots of Real Hot out there, so.
Real Hot. Real Hacienda.
Now, was that a Jesus juke?
What's that?
Thanks,
Was
guys.
that a Jesus juke?
At the end.
There, John Aiken, Jesus juke. Nice. Is that what just happened?
Oh,
You heard that, haven't you?
Yeah.
I haven't. He talks about like when people are like,
time. I
man, I'm
didn't
so
realize
excited
you
about
were
the
this
Super Bowl. And Jesus Juke is the guy on Twitter that responds and
Yeah.
says, well, if we had a Super Bowl for Jesus, I bet nobody would show
I
up.
hate those. I'm like, oh,
Jesus
Shut up.
I was thinking the whole time that you ought to go work for him. He doesn't know you.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You might have an opportunity with that one. Maybe. I don't know. Hi, I'm John.
Hi, John. Thank you so much for coming and talking.
Yeah, absolutely.